Hey B, do you want to record an episode of our Criminal Minds podcast, Wheels Up?
James, I would love to record an episode. Let's talk about season 1, episode 8, Natural Born Killer.
Hell yeah.
Which, what an episode title.
What an episode title.
You go into this and you're like, I don't know where this episode is going, but a lot of people are probably gonna have died over the course of this.
You know, I'm going to say a lot of people die.
You know, a lot of people got fucking died.
They got fucking died.
Don't talk to me, actually. Just don't talk to me.
So we're not going to do this episode.
We're not going to record our podcast, actually. We're done.
Anyway, that's been Wheels Up. Here's my quote. Okay, so one thing right off the bat. This episode takes place in Baltimore. Every gangster, with quotation marks, has that Italian accent.
Yeah, I wrote a note. My first note for this episode is that the bartender says, you're a bunch of comedians. The most New York-ass New Yorker to ever exist. Yeah. He's like, you're a bunch of fucking comedians, huh?
Yeah, and then it was Baltimore. And I was like, why does everyone sound like the Godfather?
Is that not what Baltimore sounds like? I will admit, I've never been to Baltimore.
No. So Baltimore, the Baltimore accent is exemplified in the way they don't say Baltimore. It's like Baltimore.
Oh, so they just don't pronounce words or letters.
Yeah. Have you seen that Vine that's like Aaron irons and iron earn?
Oh, that's Baltimore?
That's the Baltimore accent.
Oh, okay. So it's not at all the classic mafia New York.
No, and I don't
accent.
think Baltimore has a large population of Italians.
It doesn't. Yeah, it certainly does not seem that way. Except that's not what Criminal Minds would lead you to believe with this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I only lived in Baltimore for 3 years. I could be wrong.
No, actually, you're never wrong now. You're a Baltimore expert. Everything you say about the city of Baltimore will be correct.
Exactly.
I like how your wife just keeps coming in and giving you food and then leaving.
She made chocolate today.
Oh my god, love that for you.
Yeah. This one I think is salted. I don't know what the first flavor was, but it was really good. This is salted.
James is now doing a taste test of chocolate, something that will certainly translate well to our audio podcast.
It's very good. The only downside to this is the recipe did call for coconut oil, and I am allergic to coconut. So we're really gonna see how
Oh, so you might just die here, right?
I might just throw up a little bit. Yeah.
You might just die on this Zoom call while we record this podcast.
Salted chocolate is not bad.
Salted caramel chocolate? Yeah, dude.
No, not salted caramel chocolate.
Oh.
It's chocolate with salt in it.
Just salt chocolate. Okay, yeah, you know what? Tracks.
You gotta leave this in. A brief chocolate break.
Just you eating chocolate and me commentating what the fuck you're doing.
Okay.
So, they do a really cool thing where, there's two fucking dudes walking through a bar. It's fucking Jimmy and Frankie. And Freddie. Some other fucking bullshit fake ass mafia name, yeah. So Freddie walks into this Jimmy takes him home. Freddie walks into this nice looking suburban house, and then they just do a
Wait, hold on. You skipped something important.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go.
While they're leaving the bar, 2 cops come in, and one of them sees Freddie and is like, "Hey, Freddie, I haven't seen you around in a bit." And Freddie's all like, "Yeah, you haven't seen me since you arrested me." I'm not going to do an Italian accent.
Oh, wait, no, that's Jimmy who does that. The undercover one is Jimmy.
Right,
yeah.
Jimmy. They're like, "Oh, Jimmy, I haven't seen you in forever." And he's like, "Oh, since you arrested me." And the guy is like, "Huh? Oh yeah, well, don't commit any more crimes, Jimmy." And they
You know how cops do.
Yeah.
How they just warn you to not commit more crimes. You know.
Exactly. And yeah, so They do that, and Freddie is all like, "Hey, since when are you friends with cops?" And Jimmy is like, "I'm fucking not." And the hint, right, is that Jimmy is undercover. And
Yes.
I made a note because, to my trained crime show watching 2021 millennial eye, it is so clear that he's supposed to be undercover. In 2005, would this have been clear?
Well,
Like in 2005, is this supposed to be like something's up, but I don't know what? Or do you think they'd be like, oh, he's undercover?
I think in 2005 it would have been. I mean, it also just depends on how many procedural TV shows you watch, right? Because
That's true.
we have watched a lot of Criminal Minds and a
Yeah.
lot of other procedurals, I can assume, and we know how it works. And we're like, oh yeah, that means that that dude's like undercover or whatever. But
Yeah.
also 2005.
Yeah. I just like
Were
made a note
we
of that. I was like, I wonder, like in the same way that's like in LDSK, like would people have known that Hotch was conning the killer? I wonder like if people would have picked up that Jimmy was
Jimmy
undercover.
was undercover?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't
I honestly kind of forgot that the whole thing was that he was undercover. I forgot that that was the impetus for this whole fucking episode.
know.
So
Uh-huh.
that shows you how fondly I look back on season one. The answer is not at all.
I do not remember this episode.
So Jimmy takes Freddie home,
Mhm.
and Freddie goes into this like nice looking, like little 2-story house in the suburbs with his fucking aunt and uncle, and then it cuts to like later. Some fucking neighbor is coming out of her house because there's loud ass fucking music playing. And she's, this neighbor starts like banging on the door of that nice little house and is like, do you know what fucking time it is? Like,
She's got her robe on, she's got her curlers in. She's like, I was very clearly sleeping. I need you to turn this music off.
and she gets to the door, she bangs on it, and then she like puts her hand on the handle and there's like blood on it and she's like "Ah!" And then some dude fucking comes barreling out of the door,
Hmm.
Jimmy from
Jimmy.
earlier, and like runs past her and out into the street.
I have, they do, okay. This is something that happens so much in shows. I have never knocked on someone's door and then tried the door handle. Like, it has never crossed my mind to be like, knock, knock, knock. No answer. I wonder if the door's unlocked.
I don't know. Yeah, that seems like
It
something
happens
people
all the
did
time.
earlier. But like, I'm not stepping my foot in your fucking home if you are not expressly opening the door to invite me in. Is that just like a people did that back then? Is that a
I
thing
don't
people
know.
did in 2005? Did they just leave their front door unlocked?
Because, like, I feel like, so, like, nowadays, like, I have had neighbors playing loud music. I
Mm-hmm.
am not, I'm not going to put in a noise complaint
Yeah.
because fuck the cops.
Yeah,
I'm not calling the
exactly.
cops on someone. Um, but in 2005, I feel like that would have been knock, knock, knock. The music's too loud. I'm calling the police. Especially that type of white woman who's
Yeah.
gonna come knocking on your door. But like to then be like, I am going to enter your house and turn this music off. What is that?
Do you remember there's a fucking joke that I saw once that it was like no wonder the 70s had so many serial killers because everybody just left their door unlocked and let people in. Do you think maybe it's just like the natural evolution of that is now nobody is fucking stepping foot inside my house if I do not expressly invite them in?
Yeah, but like even in 2005, Baltimore, they're not. Baltimore's a predominantly black city.
But they're in
I
this nice little idyllic suburb part of it.
still.
Still though, yeah, no, I get you. I
Like
get
it's
you.
a
It's fucking bullshit.
city.
In
Like
the
it's a
in the city, I
city.
cannot imagine entering somebody's house. The only way in which I
That's how
am
you get shot. Is just
yes.
walking into someone's house.
The only way in which I am doing that knock 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 opening the door anyway thing is if this is very specific, but if I'm hired to do like some fucking farm work on somebody's farm in the country, right, where I grew up, I did
Right.
that a lot. Where I would like knock on the door, be like, "Hey, you home?" And somebody would just yell like, "Come in," and so I fucking tried the door.
Yeah.
But I'm still not doing it unless somebody yells, "Come in." Like,
Right. Yeah. I feel like
there's
if
a
you're
step that they missed here, and I don't know if
expected.
this is just like my social anxiety or the fact that we just don't do this anymore, but that's fucking bonkers to just want to enter somebody's house. Like,
Yeah.
what was her plan once she got in? What was that thought process?
Also, here's a question. Why would the serial killer, who we've learned is a natural born killer and will later learn as a hitman, why would the outside front
That
doorknob of the house be bloody?
Criminal Minds does this a lot too, where there's blood in places that it shouldn't be, and nobody's like, why is that bloody? Like,
It's like, on the one hand, like, there's a lot of blood inside, and Freddy does get chopped up and put in a bunch of trash
Freddy
cans.
does get chopped to fucking bits. Yes, yes, yes.
But a bloody doorknob? Like, is the killer
The outside
leaving the
doorknob,
house, like, holding all of Freddy's pieces in his arms?
having to
Like,
fucking reach behind him blindly to close the door. It doesn't make any
yeah, like,
sense.
it
Why
doesn't make
was
any
there
sense.
blood there?
I
Why
don't
was
know.
there blood there?
Anyway, Jimmy bursts out of the house. The lady, like, flies backwards onto the steps, splayed on the ground, screaming.
And then they
Um,
transition to daytime,
yeah.
which I actually really liked. Is they just like they zoom out and they just hold on a shot for a while, and then they just transition it to daytime when there's like police tape and everything
Yeah.
there.
And so we find out that Derek was in Baltimore when the call came in.
He was like consulting Baltimore PD or like running a class or something.
He was teaching an in service.
Which
I don't know what that means.
I I think it's sort of same thing as like fucking, you know, when like teachers have in service in school where they like learn how to be teachers. I feel like this is like a special
Uh,
class for cops to be cops.
cops to
Um
be cops.
but I also like that they do this where they like talk about their educate the BAU's like education efforts because they mention this
Mm-hmm.
fairly often, which is like this is what the actual BAU does is they fucking teach cops
Yeah.
things, right?
Um.
And so like I
Yeah.
like that this show is like, yeah, we also teach people. That's like mainly what we do. We catch killers, sure, but we also do teach people. Like I wrote books. I make PowerPoints for a living. What's up?
What's up? I make PowerPoints for a living. Ideal job. Sharon literally makes PowerPoints for a living. She's a graphic designer.
Your
Um,
wife's living the dream, I gotta say.
honestly. But I don't think they've done it yet, but later on in the briefing room, when they like spend more time in there, there's like a whiteboard up on the wall that says like teaching this, like lessons in this, like on the wall. So it like looks like they have like some sort of teaching schedule, and they never like mention it. And I've
But
only
they
noticed it a couple times, but it's like there is like that nice piece of like background dressing of like
yeah.
whose job is it this week to go teach this thing, you know?
Yeah, and then they also say it when like sometimes when people are just gone, they're like, "Oh, they're off teaching in whatever department," or "Oh, they're off consulting somewhere else."
Yeah, and we see that like when Reed and Penelope have to like repass their physicals, Derek is like the guy that does it, and then like we learn that like Derek was teaching JJ like self defense, and we see him like leading a class of like excuse me, a class of like FBI Academy students.
Yeah.
So we do see it. Like at one point, Emily and like Steven or something are teaching like a profiling 202 class
Yeah.
in season like 13. So we see that a lot. So it's
It's
just
actually
interesting.
I really like it because it number one, mechanically, it lets the writers get away with a lot of like, sometimes this person's just not here, right? And so I like that. I also just like it because the other show that does a lot about this is on Netflix, Mindhunter,
Well, it's
which
about the
is
same
it's about
department.
the same thing. It's about how they started the BAU.
Yeah,
And so they focus a lot on the fact that they are just like teaching cops to recognize patterns and shit.
yeah,
Mindhunter, dreadfully fucking slow. So fucking
yeah.
slow.
Season 1 is much better than season 2, but season 2 does have lesbians.
True. Yeah. So
Pretty
I
sure
got
they
really
do.
bored like 3 episodes into season 2.
I
Whoever fucking
finished
Jonathan Groff's character in that show is fucking insufferable.
season 1 is like really good, and I really like his character in that. But in season 2, I was like, oh, I would fucking hate this guy.
Oh, you're that kind of white boy. I see. I see.
Yeah. Um.
Anyway, enough about other serial killer shows. Let's go back to fucking
Right.
Criminal Minds.
This one. Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was interesting that they gave an excuse as to why Derek would have seen the case, because in every episode so far this season, it's been like Hotch gets a phone call out of nowhere about a case,
Mm-hmm.
or like um L just so happened to do this, or JJ made a connection. Like they're not
Yeah,
like
it's a lot of serendipity thus far. This one is just like Derek saw this case because he was here teaching people because that is the BAU's job.
right. So I think it's interesting because later they haven't decided whose job it is to pick cases yet.
Yeah.
Later, it's like JJ being like, "We have a case. I
Yeah.
have chosen a case for us to work on."
Yeah.
Whereas, like in season 1, they're like, "Yeah, we just keep kind of like stumbling into serial killers,
They
I
really just like
guess."
stumble ass backwards into cases, and it's really
Yeah,
funny actually.
yeah. So they're in the house. Derek says he happened to hear the call come in, and so we find out that William and Helen DeMarco um, live in the house, both dead. They have no kids, and we saw a white man leaving the scene.
And this
Um,
murder scene is grisly as fuck.
oh my god,
There's
there's
so
so
much
much
blood
blood
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah,
Everywhere.
and Derek says that it's a BAU case because of just like the
Overkill.
massive overkill.
Because like Helen,
Massive.
he like kind of walks through and he's like, okay, so Helen was tied to this chair. She had one cut on her throat and she was dead pretty much instantly because the blood splatter is up to the fucking ceiling.
Oh god, it was so rough.
And then her husband in the shower did not fare quite as well because he got fucking tortured in like 4 different ways. And then
Yeah.
just like gut like a fucking deer.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Um
This
oh.
show, gross sometimes.
Sometimes this was kind of gross.
Sometimes this show,
Um
so fucking gross.
You know what? I did want to mention this though. People call this show and this, general genre as like torture porn, like serial killer porn. I don't really feel like Criminal Minds does kind of celebrate the serial killing aspect. Like they talk about it. Sometimes the cases are like fucking wild, but it doesn't.
Sometimes they're pretty fucking bonkers, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't like in the way that SVU is like the woman in the alley, and it's gritty and it's dirty, and we're gonna talk about all the ways she was assaulted and brutalized. This show
Mm-hmm.
is like, hey, this thing bad. Let's stop them before they do more of this thing. Like it
This
doesn't
thing
feel like
happened and it's
it's
gross.
yeah, it like doesn't necessarily feel like it like lingers on the trauma, the grisliness of
I
it.
think, yeah, there are some episodes that do it worse than this one. I think overall, Criminal Minds does try and like they focus more on finding the people, but there are, I guess, I mean, there are some episodes that you could make that argument
Sure.
of like the one that comes to my mind is the Kansas City one with the big old torture chamber thing, the big old torture plant.
Yeah.
Where it like cuts to the lady as she's going through this guy's fucking sick ass jigsaw game or whatever.
Yeah.
And there are some episodes where like they focus on the people who are like getting the acts committed to them. But whenever they do that, it's never like bloody or gory. It's always like psychological first. So like I can kind of see where that comes from, but with Criminal Minds I feel like they do try and like we talked about, they do try and like humanize the victims a lot more than other shows do, than like for
Yeah.
example in SVU, which I love, because if they didn't I would go fucking bonkers.
Yeah. I I think that, you know, the times that I feel like they are overly glorifying or romanticizing serial killing is like with like Frank. Then they're
Mm-hmm.
like the most prolific serial killer and they
Yeah.
let him like talk and talk. But those episodes are not gory. And then when they have an episode that's like really gory, like the Frankie Muniz episode,
Yeah.
but in that type of episode though, they go out of their way not to romanticize. Like I feel like they have a good balance of like, if we're going to like deep dive into a serial killer, it's about the psychology, not the like death. And then if we're going to like deep dive into like death and blood, then it's not gonna like care too much about letting the killer have a talk.
Yeah, I feel like they try really hard. I think the thing is that they're at least cognizant of it. Like
Yeah.
the fact that you can tell that they thought about it makes it indefinitely better than like an
Hmm.
SVU, right?
Yes.
Not to like harp on SVU or anything. That's just the example that you use, and that's the one that like
Yeah.
to me is most like misery porn, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the fact that they think about it and they clearly come down on like, okay, well we can't, that would be too much. Like if some of the episodes in Criminal Minds feels like they were thinking about doing more and then they were like, oh, that might be a little too much. And the fact that they came back and stopped it is like, okay, this is fine. I can deal with this, right?
Yeah, and like it feels much more focused on like the agents, the FBI agents,
Mm-hmm.
and like how they react to these crimes, as opposed to SVU, which feels very much like a traditional procedural of just like crime after crime after crime after woman brutalized after woman brutalized.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I don't know. We something we can keep an eye out for because whenever I tell someone who knows me that I love Criminal Minds, they're like, "Really? You love like this torture porn show?" And I'm like, "It's not.
It's not really.
It's not really though."
They try hard not to be, which I think is like the point.
Yeah,
Is they like try not to be.
yeah. Okay.
Can we talk more about the fact that at this crime scene, Gideon takes one look at the tub and goes, "There was another person here who bled out completely." Can we take a moment? Can
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can we talk about that?
Yeah. So real quick, they talk about how the killer was both disorganized and organized. There's different methods of, like, the unorganized is like William was burnt and cut, and they were taken to different places, and the time of death and the torture versus like the quick death of Helen.
They also make a
Uh,
point to be like, usually people don't mix torture methods because if you burn, all you do is burn. You don't
right.
burn and cut and
Yeah.
like do that. You do like
Yeah.
one or the other.
Yeah. But at the same time, he like was organized because Helen's kill was very like neat and clean and quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they're like, ooh. Um, and then also like, okay, I literally wrote this on a post-it note to remember when it came up again. Hold on.
James is digging around and has
Okay.
unearthed a post-it note.
In season 1, episode 1, Extreme Aggressor,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who plays Garth in Supernatural, who's the skinny unsub in that
Mm-hmm.
episode.
The dude who plays Z in Z Nation.
Yes. He talks about how Gideon wrote a paper about how Gideon does not believe in multiple personalities. He doesn't believe in dissociative identity disorder. Okay. Season
Mm-hmm.
1, episode 1, Gideon does not believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1, episode 8, Gideon, maybe the unsub has multiple personalities.
Isn't that the most like academic bullshit you've heard where they like write a paper against it and then as soon as they're presented with like, well, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. maybe it's multiple identities.
It took Gideon 7 episodes to walk back a fucking published paper he'd written. Come on.
I love that you wrote that down specifically to dunk on Jason Gideon in about 8 episodes.
Well,
Look at you.
I didn't remember it in this episode. I wrote it down because of Henkel.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because in Henkel, Gideon's like he is, you know, well, they say multiple personalities. I'm gonna call it what it is: dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of those things that they change because hey, it was 2005.
Yeah.
And they change it later in like season 4 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah. And also like in the Henkel episode, he does have, multiple personalities. So in episode 1, as soon as Gideon was like, yeah, I don't believe in it, that's fake, I was like, I'm taking a fucking note because your fucking unsub in season 2, episode 14 has multiple personalities.
I love that you like heard him say that, narrowed your eyes, and then wrote out a receipt just to pull out later.
I like literally it's been pinned to my corkboard since we filmed that episode in fucking October 2020. Okay.
God, don't let people know how long it took for us to actually get this podcast started, please. Don't let them know that we were sitting on that episode for like a solid 3 months. Don't let people know that. We're good podcasters, please.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he looks at the blood and is like, somebody was drained completely.
And then Reed's like, yep, fucking 10.6 liters or whatever. Oop.
Like, it's interesting. Okay, here's what's interesting to me. You, based on what I've seen in other crime shows, you can completely insanguinate someone not cutting them to pieces.
Yeah, that is true. That is something that they do later on in Criminal Minds.
Yes, that is something they do later on in Criminal Minds. So why, then, does he look at a bathtub and says, that dude fucking cut someone to pieces?
Well, few reasons. Number one, it would be somehow less messy, I think, to cut them to pieces than to exsanguinate and then drag their floppy body elsewhere.
Your body doesn't become floppy without blood.
You don't got any fucking moisture in you at that point. You just kind of become like a sponge, right? Like you become like a fucking
I feel like
raisin.
you'd be stiff because you were only bones at that point.
Oh, true. Okay. But then again,
like if you cut all your bones out, you'd be floppy. Harry Potter,
yeah.
Bones Lockhart style.
But
you'd probably be real.
It makes more sense to me to be like,
to touch.
Yeah, but it also is like much easier to transport cut up body pieces than just like a whole body.
100%. I mean, 100%. I'm not doubting that, but just like to look at a bathtub of blood and say, yeah,
somebody
they
got
someone
cut to
pieces.
fucking pieces.
Yeah. So there's no time with Freddy, which is the third guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it cuts to like JJ's talking to the media and giving the profile. She's like reading the profile to the media.
Yeah, she's like immediately giving them the description.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Even though 5 minutes earlier, Gideon was like, witness descriptions are historically inaccurate. And then JJ's like, just like a white male between ages 30 and 40.
Yeah, oh, so funny. Yeah, so they have to figure out like, and then it goes back inside and they're saying like, okay, so torture, like there's functional torture to get information, and then there's like sadistic torture just for kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've got to figure it out, and they realize, okay, so he killed Helen to torture William. Like it was like a psychological torture. He killed her in front of William to weaken his mental capacities. So the guy is either a professional killer, a natural born killer, if I may say so, or a psychopath.
Yeah.
¿Por qué no los dos? I don't know. Why can't he be both? Yeah.
So they head back to the BAU at this point, right?
Yeah. So we get a clip of Jimmy in his apartment watching JJ give the description on television, and he calls his detective, Oh, he calls his
He calls
case
somebody.
manager guy, yeah, and he's like, the detective made me, and now like they're describing me, and like Freddy is dead, and the guy is like, just hold on, hold out, just wait, don't worry about it, just wait. And Jimmy's like, ooh, okay,
So they make plans to like they're gonna pick Jimmy up later, basically. They're just like,
yeah.
hold tight for now, Jims. We'll get you out there later.
We find out it's 24 hours
Yeah.
later. We find out they made him wait another day. Garcia searches for similar cases and finds cases going back 10 years.
She finds a whole fucking bunch of them.
Yeah.
And she like brings in like boxes and she's like, there's more on the way, by the way.
Yeah.
And they
It's
start like putting up things and they have a whole shit ton. A
yeah.
whole shit ton to
It's
go
really
through.
interesting to me because they're like the most prolific serial killer. But they say the same fucking shit in the middle of season 3 with Frank.
They
Or the middle of
use
season
like they're
2
like
with
John
Frank.
Wayne Gacy like killed 30 or whatever and he's like if all of these are actually his then he's more prolific than Gacy. And then they fucking what ki- what kills me is like there's those other cases like the one creepy one in Detroit where they find all of the pairs of shoes of like hundreds of pairs of shoes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then the same thing for that same Kansas City episode that I mentioned earlier is they have hundreds and hundreds of people who have gone missing and died at this dude's hand.
And in
So,
Canada, the one with the pig farm.
yeah, no, the pig farm is the one that I was talking about. It's the
Oh, yeah, that's
Canada, it's like
Canada.
a Detroit, yeah, they like cross the border or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um and so somebody is
Yeah,
just fucking going to town on a snowblower outside my window.
I can't hear
Good. So like
it.
there's obviously like they have to know at this point. They have to be beaten down enough by the possibility that like there's somebody out there who's killed hundreds of people that you don't even know about yet.
Yeah, yeah, it's rough. Um, and then it cuts from Garcia and Morgan to um back to the street, and somebody finds a head, Freddy's head, in the neighborhood trash can,
Yeah.
and you find out that he was in 7 trash cans along the street.
Yeah. So they kind of like they go back to the briefing room at that point and they're like talking about like yeah well we found Freddy's head in 7 different trash cans or Freddy's body in 7 different trash cans and he had ties to organized crime so
Yeah.
was
So
this a hit
yeah,
and then JJ comes in and she's like hey Gideon there's some fucking agents who want to talk to you the the organized crime out of Baltimore the FBI office or whatever wants to talk to you or whatever so
yeah,
Gideon and Hotch like
yeah.
go out there.
Yeah, JJ brings in like the sketch and then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, there's like some guy that's super angry out there. So they go out there. This guy, whose name is Kramer. Yeah.
Detective
He
Kramer.
Detective Kramer. Agent Kramer.
Agent,
He's an
sorry, yeah.
agent. Agent Kramer, he brought his whole ass team. There's like
Why
5
didn't he
guys in
bring
the
them
background.
as like a field trip, I guess? I don't know.
I mean, we say that like the BAU doesn't bring all fucking 10 of them whenever they go
Yeah,
somewhere.
fair. But like he literally came here, wanted to say one thing, take the case back and leave. Like was he expecting them to have like a dance off for it? Are they like the Jets and the Sharks now? I don't understand.
He's like, if I have to make the fucking hour and a half drive from Baltimore to DC, I am bringing my boys along with
I am bringing my boys because I do not want to drive alone.
Yeah, so you find out he's the FBI agent in charge of organized crime. He's like, stop looking into it. Drop it. Stop it.
We've got it from here.
We've got it. Don't worry about it. And Gideon's like, yeah, okay. And then he goes back into the office and immediately Morgan's like, are we really dropping the case? And Gideon's like, okay, let's see. Freddy is ties to he like immediately doesn't answer. He's just like, you're gonna go do this and you're gonna go do this, and that's it. We're done. Like, bye.
I love too that Hotchner is just like standing there making nice with people.
Mm-hmm.
This episode, by the way, the back half of this episode is like Aaron Hotchner's time to shine. I love him in the back half of this episode. But He literally is just there to be like, yep, absolutely, we'll definitely stop looking into it. And then Gideon walks away, and he can probably look into the fucking meeting room and be like, Gideon is still working on it, but he's like trying to distract the other dude. He's like, so if you want to leave, we have refreshments over here. Like, he's just
Yeah.
like trying to get everybody out so that they can
He
keep
like
working.
he's like looking past Kramer to see Gideon still putting photos up, and he's like, anyway, if you would like to come with me in this direction, don't look over your shoulder as they continue to keep working. We definitely are dropping this, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Like,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
just love that. I love those episodes that you can tell, like, Hotchner's the peacekeeper. He's the smooth
Mm-hmm.
talker. He's the suit who can get you to think that like he's agreeing with what you're saying when he's very obviously not.
Yeah.
Like I love
One
him.
thing I like love about Hotch is that he's very aware that he is like the good looking middle-aged white guy in a suit. So whenever there's like a problem, he's like, "Hey team, hey Derek, who is black, and Emily and JJ, who are women, and Reed, who's skinny. If you could step out of the room, I will be the white man who gets information out of them." Like he knows exactly that he's like, "All right, time for me to tighten my tie." And like go do my professional, like, I'm a man in charge and you will respect me. Like, love that about him.
Yeah, he's so I just love that he knows that he's the white guy,
Yeah.
you
He's
know?
like he's like very aware. He's like, I got
And
this.
so he just like lets it happen. He's like, whatever, fine, I will be the white guy.
Yeah, he's like, I am the face of this. Like yeah. So they find out that Freddie worked for Michael Russo at a junkyard. And Hotch and Derek go and they tell Michael that Freddie's dead, and Michael's like, oh, how sad.
A shame.
Oh, what a shame. And right next to him, he's like in like a jumpsuit or something. Like he's like, "This is my junkyard. I work here." And then next to him is like a huge dude in a suit, just like cracking his knuckles. He talks to the
Yeah.
FBI.
The least, like, the most obvious mob bodyguard I've ever seen is standing right next to Michael Russo. It's so
Yeah,
fucking funny.
yeah. And then Derek gets into Michael's face, and he like implies that Michael did it. And then Michael's like, "I'm just a humble Italian junkyard worker with the bodyguard."
He's like, it's all about recycling. It's all about Mother Earth, dude. Like,
Yeah. And then okay, and then it goes to Reed and Penelope in Penelope's office. And Elle comes in and is like, "Oh, you kids hanging out?" And Penelope's like, "Why would I want to hang out with Spencer?"
Another case of Spencer Reed being the biggest fucking nerd.
I was just like, "Ow."
Fucking
Why?
roast him. Okay, dude.
Yeah. And then Elle like puts her coffee down and Penelope just moves it. She's just
They
like, "Move, glare." Like,
why do they have this tension? Girl bosses, girl boss together, ladies. Why are you pitting them against each other?
I don't know. Well, to be fair, like it's a room full of computers, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put my paper cup of scalding hot coffee right next to your fucking keyboard, Garcia."
Which, like, I get it. I don't get why Elle's mad about it, but I also don't get why Garcia wouldn't take the time to be like, hey, this whole room is full of computers. Can you not?
She does. She does the next time. It happens twice
after
this
she
episode.
throws her coffee in the fucking trash. Like, girl boss is girl boss together. What are you doing, like, pitting them against each other? I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. Garcia's like,
we're all girl bosses here. We shouldn't be fighting, ladies.
This is like 2 episodes in a row that Garcia has been like, there's like the prison bitch joke to Spencer in the previous episode, and now Garcia's being all like, why would I spend time with him? It's like, why are they making Garcia like this?
I just don't think they knew what to do with Garcia's personality right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's so wild to...
Yeah.
Girl boss is girl boss together, y'all. When one of us is a girl boss, we're all girl bosses. Let's stick together, ladies.
Real queens fix each other's crown.
Exactly. That's gonna be the title of this episode. I know we're talking about grisly murder and shit, but real queens fix each other's crowns.
Yes. There's a ship. You can cut this part out, but there's a ship no one talks about. Elle and Penelope.
Okay, but I think they could be so much fun.
It's like Elle is like angry and Penelope's like angry, but like in a like cute way.
I think it would have been so fun, like the enemies to lovers of it all.
Yes.
The enemies to lovers of it all. God, we could have had it all if any of the women on this show
We
were
could
gay.
have had it all. Okay.
The enemies to lovers of it all, of like
Penel.
the angry one finally like breaking their walls down for the cute smiley one.
Like they start hooking up and it's like angry hate rival sex.
Yes.
And then one day like Penelope gets like hurt in the field and Elle is like, "Excuse me? That is the person that I kiss. You're not allowed to hurt them." Like everyone talks about Gel, no one talks about Penel.
I think I'm leaving that in the podcast.
Okay.
I'm deciding that this podcast ships all of them together at all times.
Oh yeah, any combo, any way, any day.
Any combo of the ladies, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I hate us.
We can like we'll shit on all of the straight ships. We'll shit on Hotchness, we'll shit on Demily, we'll shit on Jeed, we'll shit on Willifer, we'll shit on Jotch, Gotch, all of it bad. Lesbian
any
ships,
combination
every
of
single
the ladies,
one.
we're here. We're here for it. Any combination of the ladies.
Oh no. Okay, we gotta get back to this case. Oop.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just fully laying down under all of my blankets now. That's how this podcast recording is going.
I like that you're like in the darkness and I'm here in my like orange glow from above. Like...
Again, can't use any power, so I have my lamp on and a candle on the table. So thriving. I'm doing my part, okay?
That's fair. Yeah, so they're searching for people it could be. James Baker comes up, Jimmy. His like rap sheet is like attempted murder and like stealing and stuff, and then like rape, but no like assaults, and it like doesn't make any sense because like when he was young he did like attempted murder, and then when he got older it was just like armed robbery, and they're like
it was just much more petty crimes. They're like, man, this kid was dope when he was like 14, but then he really fucking mellowed out. Like, what the hell?
They were like, that doesn't happen. Nobody starts with like
murder
and then switches to like robbing gas stations. Like,
yeah,
they go from murder to more worse murder. But then they see the picture and it looks just like the sketch, which I mean this both in real life and in Criminal Minds. Sketches to me never look like the person.
Never.
They're like, it looks exactly like him, and I'm like, does it? Does it?
Reed and Elle are like looking at this rap sheet and they're like, this doesn't make sense. This just looks like somebody put things in to make a rap sheet. They were just plugging stuff in. And they're like, what if he was undercover? Holy shit.
Yeah, and so at the same time that that's happening, Hotch and Morgan are at Jimmy's apartment. And Hotch kicks in the door.
Point 1 for Hotch, kicking in doors.
Another little tally in his side of the chart.
But then later, Derek punches open a wall. So
yes, he does.
I feel like they even out. I feel like they even out.
So the apartment's like absolutely empty. They call it a crash pad. Oh, I have a good quote here. Should I say the quote or save it so that I only say it at the end?
Is it like a funny one?
No,
then
but I think it's the only quote I wrote down. Oh no, I do have a funny one at the end. Okay,
so then just say it.
Great. So Derek looks around and goes, It's an artificial dwelling to match an artificial past.
Damn, Derek. Damn, bro.
Yeah. So then it cuts to like Jimmy on the street corner being like, "Come on, guys. Come on. Where are you?" Um
He's having a time.
he's going through some stuff. So then Derek like punches through the wall, finds, touches, picks up the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, this is a Glock 19, this is standard issue. And then he
Yeah.
looks at the bullets and he's like, these are law enforcement. These are law
Yeah.
enforcement bullets. These are bullets for cops, which is
These are
apparently something
bullets
you
for
can
cops.
tell.
Yeah. And then this is when we find out that Derek did 18 months of deep cover.
18 months.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Because of my rewrite fan fiction,
Mhm.
I have deep dived into Emily Prentice's life timeline. I need to do that for Derek
Because it makes
because
no goddamn sense.
he was he like went to law school.
When did he go to law school? I thought he just went to get criminal justice degree.
No, he like has a law degree from. So okay, let me look it up now.
I thought he just had a Northwestern like criminal studies
Eric
degree.
Morgan. No, I'm pretty sure it's law.
Is it like
Um,
pre-law?
it might just be pre-law.
Because I feel like Derek
Um,
Morgan didn't have the time to pass the bar.
he's an honor graduate in law.
What?
He
Does
went
that
to
mean
Northwestern University on a football scholarship and is an honor graduate in law. He holds a black belt in judo, runs FBI self defense classes, served in a bomb squad unit, and worked as a Chicago police officer. He also was undercover for 18 months and is an expert in obsessional crimes.
he's so good at everything? Like, leave some for the rest of us, Derek. Leave some for the fucking
Yeah.
rest of us, bro.
Yeah, it's interesting. Um,
They really did just give him a whole lot.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, good for him though.
Yeah, he's like getting it fucking done, dude.
So we find out that Derek did 18 months deep cover.
Love that for him. A multi-talented king.
Yes. And that's how he knows that this guy must be undercover. The fake rap sheet, the crash pad,
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
So everybody heads back to the BAU. We kind of reconvene back there.
Yeah.
And the fucking agent from earlier, Agent Kramer,
Mm-hmm.
they just like assume that we think time has passed here, which I love. But Agent Kramer comes through and he like runs into Hotch's office and he's like, "You fucking ran my guy's gun?"
Well, we see. So what happens is the van pulls up to the corner where Jimmy was, and he's not there. And they're like, "Fuck! We said we'd be here at 8, and we weren't because traffic in Baltimore fucking sucks." And then
That sounds like
they,
a very specific gripe against Baltimore.
I have a very specific gripe against traffic in the larger DMV area. Baker's missing. Jimmy's
Yes.
missing. The detective goes to Quantico and is like, "What the fuck? You
He's
ran the
like yelling
gun."
at Hotch, and I love how Hotchner is just like, first of all, don't fucking yell at me. He's like, first of all, stop fucking yelling. And
Yeah.
then Gideon like pokes his head in, like, ooh, drama? What's going down, ladies?
Gideon's literally like, "Knock, knock, knock. Who's
Knock, knock, knock,
yelling?"
bitches. Who's yelling?
Yeah. And so he's like, "Okay, well, let me talk to Jimmy." And they're like, "We don't have Jimmy." And he's like, "Well, if you don't have Jimmy and I don't have Jimmy,
Who
then
has
where's
Jimmy?
Jimmy?" He's been gone for 12 hours. Um, you find out that like he went to Freddy's house after the murders happened because he was like nervous that Freddy thought that he was like fun. He was like nervous about his cover. He was
Yeah.
like, "Freddy's gonna take offense with the cops. Like, let me go like check on him." But then when he got there, it was covered in blood, and he had to ditch because he's undercover.
Yeah.
Um, and they said like maybe he ran. I don't know what this note means. Maybe ran, but really experienced.
I don't know what the fuck that note means.
I don't know.
They were like, well, maybe he's much too like experienced as an undercover agent to have just fucking ditched. So
Oh, that's true. So they were like, he. Oh. People were like, maybe he ran because he was being like suspected of the crimes. And the detective was like, maybe, but like he's really experienced. Like he wouldn't have been like, uh-oh, they think I killed someone, time to get out of town. Like he wouldn't
Yeah.
have done that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that now makes sense now. So they think that, oh, the target of Jimmy's undercover, now we get the whole story, is Michael Russo, the guy that they talked to, the mafia junkyard man. They've been
Yeah.
after him for like 3 years. Jimmy's been undercover for nearly 2 years. But Russo's like a really good liar. And then Kramer like tries to leave, and Gideon like makes him sit down and is like, "Listen, now we work together." And Kramer, oh yeah, Kramer just has a picture of Jimmy and his family in his inside jacket pocket. Like he reaches into his jacket and pulls out a picture of Jimmy and his wife and kids. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
kind of gay, dude.
That's
Like,
kind of gay, honestly. Not to like chomp this dude's balls about it, but like that's kind of gay, bro.
yeah. So then we see Jimmy being hurt, and he gets like cut, and the guy is like, it's warm, so they'll be coming for you soon. Blah blah blah. And you like don't know what he's talking about, but like he like cuts Jimmy's leg and he like is bleeding, and then like whoever's torturing him leaves. So this is when Derek is like putting up all the rest of the pictures, and Garcia brings more files, and you find out that like there have been 100 plus killings in 15 years. Um, and they call him the most prolific serial killer. He's a killer turned professional. So like
Mm-hmm.
the killings that she found in the DMV by the way is DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Yeah.
The killings they found in the DMV of the past 10 years were all like professional hits, but when she like expanded her search, she found even more because he had been like a serial killer before he was a hitman. And they say that he found the perfect career. Which, okay,
Yeah. I mean, it's
sure.
also they kind of like it's interesting to me that they're like he's done this for so many years and not gotten caught because all of them look like gang hits. But I don't know. It's just like it's interesting to me that they're like this guy's fucking prolific and he's very very good at what he does. And why did he trip up now? Like
Right.
why did we just now catch on?
Yeah. We also see that Garcia doesn't like looking at the Grizzly pictures. This is like one of the first times I think we
Which
see
is
her being
fair
like,
because this is
"Ugh."
grisly as fuck.
Yeah. She's also like not an FBI agent.
She's not. She doesn't do crime, guys.
No crime. I mean, she does crime, but not blood crime.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Hotch and Derek, I love that Hotch and Derek are like on the case this episode.
I know. I
Uh,
love whenever they're partnered up
yeah.
because they're just so. They're like, we are male authority figures. And
Yep.
it's just so funny to me.
Yep. Um, they go to the bar and find Michael Russo there. I wrote Derek in sexy suit. He's wearing like a black button down, black tie, black suit, and I was like, "Damn, Derek!"
Derek really fucking getting it, my guy.
Derek is like, "I have to wear a suit, but I'm still sexy."
I'm still gonna look fucking good, y'all.
Yeah. Hotch was the same thing every episode. Derek is like, "Nah, bruh, I got suits to spare." Like, yeah,
You see all the salary that you're spending on your kid? I spend it on suits.
I send it on me. And the ladies, they they tell Michael Russo, "Hey, your hitter is out of control." Um, and Russo's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And Hotch is like, "I'm just saying, if you're not ordering these hits, he's still doing them, and it's gonna look bad that you can't control your people." And then Russo like stands up and is like, "I'll deal with it." And then Derek like puts his arm around Michael Russo and is like, what are your men gonna think about you looking so friendly with the FBI? And then he like leaves. And everyone in the club, everyone in the bar is like looking at Russo like so whispering that he's like close with like an FBI agent.
I like how they're all like, I love that everybody else in the bar can think of no other logical explanation other than the fact that your boss is in bed with the FBI.
Like, if you're someone, the FBI's been after you for years, they show up, they like, needle at you and they leave. Like, wouldn't your people just be like, man, fuck the FBI. Get your hands
Yeah.
off my man. But they wouldn't be like, wait a minute.
Are you kind of
Is
gay, dude?
the
Like, are you in
boss?
bed with the FBI, dude? Are you kind of gay, bro?
Well, it's kind of gay of you to like follow the law, bro.
Bro, it's kind of gay of you to let that other man put his arm around you. That's kind of gay, bro.
Bro,
That's
it's kind
kind
of
of
gay.
sus, bro.
Yeah. Um.
Anyway, toxic masculinity is a prison.
Yeah. um. Then we see Gideon leaving with a vest, and Reed and Elle are with the surveillance team outside of Russo's office. And they're just
It's
kind of like,
like Garcia and Reed are like saying some like nerd shit about how the fucking listener devices work, and then Elle's just like, "So will they work?" And then Garcia's just like, "I mean, yeah, if yada 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 nerd shit explanation works, then yes." And Elle's just
yeah,
like, "So will it work?" And then it starts to come over the speakers that it is
yeah,
working. She's like, "Okay, good, thank God."
yeah.
Elle's so stupid. I love her. Love
She's
of
a
my
mean,
life.
mean lesbian. She's not a nerd.
Exactly. And like I want her to talk down to me about being a nerd, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
So I thought this moment though was actually really interesting because Reed is explaining basically they like shoot a beam of light at the office window and it like reflects back the sound. It's called the rule of optics. And Garcia knows it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting that they didn't have Reed be like, blah, blah, blah. And then the other people are like, okay, nerd. Instead, Garcia was like, yeah, the rule of optics. Everyone knows that. And I was like, yeah,
Everybody
everyone
knows
knows
that. Yeah, guys. Just like
that.
looking around furtively, like, dude, does everybody know that?
Yeah. So then they can hear him. And also, okay, this made me laugh so hard. Russo calls and he picks up the phone and he's like, Vinny, Vinny, you gotta come here. I was like, really? Your
Y'all are not
name?
expecting an FBI like tap of your phones after all this fucking time spent running away from the FBI.
I was just laughing so hard at the fact that the fucking like Italian mafia hitman's name
Is
is
Vinny.
Vinny. They really were like, gotta do it. At least one of
They
them has
went
to be
on to
named.
fucking fantasynamegenerators.com and went over to look at Italian names, and this was the first 5 that popped up. They're like Jimmy, Freddie, Michael, Vinny. Like,
Oh God. Yeah. Oh, and then this is the guy talking. Then it cuts back to Jimmy being tortured again. The guy's like pulling Vinny's fucking teeth out,
and also like
talking about
talking
like
on like a
maggots.
landline phone.
Yeah.
The, it's like it has a fucking cord attaching it to the receiver. Like this is an old ass phone, and I shouldn't be surprised because it's 2005. But like, bro, that looks like a phone my grandma had. Like,
Yeah. So then Garcia is doing her tip tap type in, and she finds that there are 10 Vinnies in this mafia organization. Because of course there are. Elle puts her coffee down. Garcia just throws it away and is like, "This
Garcia
stuff
just
is
like
very
throws it in the
expensive."
trash. She's like, all of this equipment is very expensive, and it's like, okay, yeah, but like, hand it back to her then.
Right, just be like, "Hold this, or I will dump it on you." Don't just like trash. Ella's literally like, "I wasn't finished with that."
Like, hey queens, hey queens,
Why are you fighting?
why are you fighting?
And then I wrote Garcia felony LMAO got him.
Garcia's like, we'll all go to prison if anybody sees this. And then Reed's like, yeah, don't worry, we're committing a felony, it's fine. And then Elle's just like, yeah, it's fine, dude. Are you being a little bitch about it? Like, it's fine, dude.
It's like so funny. This is like twice in a row. Gusty has been like, "Yes, I am hacking, and yes, this is a felony." Hey, Reed, you're now an accessory to a crime, twice. So they find out Vincent Parada. He has a juvie record but no adult record, and they're like, "That's got to be him." And then it cuts to Gideon, Kramer, Derek, and Hotch in the junkyard. Hotch is hit and beaten and fucking garroted.
He's like fucking choked out by this dude. Yeah.
Yeah, so he puts the garrote, the like metal thing to like choke Hotch, and they're like, Derek, don't kill him. You're not allowed to kill him. So then Kramer tases him, and the guy is like just standing there, like he like lets Hotch go, but he's like, guys, come on. And then Gideon also tases him, and then he finally falls. I was like, fuck, man. It's
And
rough.
like, why do tasers scream 2005 to me? Like, an adult
It's
person using a taser just screams 2005. I don't know why.
it's not just like the taser, it's like the taser gun. Like when you shoot the thing and it like has the two clips and the strings, that kills me. I mean, I'm cops should be using tasers and not
Yes,
guns.
absolutely.
But when they did that, I was like, Gideon, he looks so fucking dumb. He's
Yeah,
just
you
like,
look so fucking
"Tee."
stupid right now, y'all. Like,
Yeah. They find a van with blood in it and Jimmy's jacket. So now they're like, this is the dude, he's got Jimmy.
also, like, as Gideon's going over to like take care of Hotch or whatever, he's like, "Can you fucking loosen your tie up for once in your life?"
Yeah. That's my quote for the end of the episode.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Take
You'll
your
do
tie
it
off
better.
for once in your life. Yeah. So they take Vinny to Quantico and they like put him in a room that's like just two chairs and like nothing else. And um Kramer is like, what the hell? Like you're supposed to make them comfortable, so they open up. And Gideon's like, it's different for people with antisocial personality disorders. We need to make him uncomfortable. The way I literally have 6 full pages of notes. We're on the last two.
Yeah, you can just go, dude.
Okay. So then Derek, Elle, Penelope, and Reed are looking at stuff and they find looking at Vinny's stuff and they find tapes. And like, oh, this
Tapes.
is yeah. They're like, we're gonna go
Tapes.
watch it. Yeah,
Like,
I know. I found a better quote for the end that I wrote down.
who the fuck uses tapes
I know.
in
So they're like,
2005?
ooh, we're gonna watch movies. It's gonna be great. Gideon like tells Hotch like, go home, and Hotch is like, no, I hate myself. I'm staying here. Um, Gideon is the first one to introduce himself. He's like, or like the first one to go into the room. He goes in, he introduces himself, he starts talking. And Derek and Hotch and Kramer are watching, and Kramer's like, why don't I just go in there and like beat the shit out of him? Like, turn the cameras off. I'll make him talk. Which, like, cops bad, FBI bad. Okay.
FBI bad. FBI so bad, dude.
Yeah.
And then, like, Hotch is just like, he learned to deal with abuse at a young age. The pain does fucking nothing for him. Shut
Yeah,
the fuck up and let us do our jobs.
Hotch isn't like, dude, that's wrong. Hotch is like, nah, it wouldn't work. Like,
Yeah! Yeah!
okay.
The fuck?
Yeah. And so Gideon calls him like a psychopath and calls him paranoid. Shows him a picture of Jimmy and the family like on the board. And Freddie like makes a Freddie.
No, the guy. Vinny.
Oh no. So they are talking about Freddie and Vinny is like, do you remember that commercial where they sell those dead worms? The like pills that'll help your dead worm. Like making dick jokes. And Gideon is like, oh, are you familiar with it? Do you have a problem with your worm? Like,
Why does the way that you said that just sound like a John Mulaney joke? The way that you said that just sounds so much like a John Mulaney joke, and I don't know why, but it's like,
Do you have a problem with your worm? Yeah. Gideon, once again, calling men impotent.
that's really like his favorite fucking thing to do.
I know. But the thing is when he says that, Vinny is like, shut the fuck up, dude. But then Kramer runs in and is like, the guy you took is an FBI agent. Rah, rah, rah. And then he leaves. And then Vinny just like looks at Gideon and is like, is it still paranoid if I'm right? And Gideon's like, motherfucker, dude.
So he just leaves because you can't do anything else at that point because Agent Kramer fucked you over so badly.
Yeah. So then Penelope and Reed, this is a great Penelope joke. They're like putting the tapes in, and Penelope's like, I hope this one's like gonna be about a naked co-ed and a plumber. And Reed's like, what? And she's like, a naked co-ed and a plumber. And he's like, I don't know what that means. And she's just like, okay, well, like,
you know how co-eds just like,
okay, so in porn there are several like
welcome to our describing porn corner. I hate it
God.
here too, don't worry.
No, I'm not going to. I just like really wanted Penelope to be like, I was making a porn joke. Never mind. Reed. Also, like, in what world does Reed not watch porn?
Yeah, we know you aren't getting any right now, baby boy, and it's
Come on,
okay,
Reed.
but like,
it's fine, Reed.
bro.
Anyway, there are videos of people being tortured and eaten alive by rats.
Which is horrifying.
Horrifying.
And
also,
you
like,
can see Penelope just like puts it in, presses play, and then she's like, oh, what the fuck? And Reed's just like, just put in another one. And they're both just staring with like blank, abject horror on their faces as they're staring at the screen.
I just like, this is the most prolific serial killer ever of all time. Psychopath, whatever. You find tapes. Really? You're gonna think they're gonna be
like
fun?
Porn?
Like, in what world is the collection of tapes in the psychopath serial killer's box not videos of dead people?
Well, this is Garcia, though. She doesn't know all that. So if you find
I would
tapes
still
in, like,
be like,
a normal person's house, it would be like, yeah, fine, that's some porn. Which, by the way, it sounds so fucking weird to me that like porn was ever on tapes, but I get that it was 2005.
It's 2005 and they're purchasing their porn from stores.
Yeah, exactly. They don't pirate it like we do now.
They've got that VHS porn, baby.
That vintage VHS porn.
Ugh.
But
yeah.
wait, but not now that I'm thinking about it. Sorry, no. My local sex shop though still does sell porn.
Oh yeah, sex shops do still sell porn.
But like,
of course they do.
They still sell it. Like they still have VHS tapes for whatever reasons on a shelf.
The ones I've seen have all been like DVDs.
And like, yes, a collection of DVDs, but there is one shelf that, now that I'm remembering it, is actually VHS tapes of porn. And now I'm like, who buys that?
No, that's the shop saying we've been open since 1974. And nobody has bought these VHSs.
We've been a thriving local establishment for so long because there's nothing else to do in Kansas.
We are still trying to get rid of these fucking porn videos. Please buy them.
Vintage VHS porn tapes, please.
We will sell them to you for $1. Just get them out of our store. Like,
sorry.
Anyway, it's rats eating them alive. It is.
It's horrifying.
Yeah. And then Gideon's like yelling at Kramer, and Kramer feels guilty. And, I wrote, Reed interrupts about torture with rats, and then I drew a sad face. Reed's like, excuse me? Hey, I know you're like...
Hey guys, I know we're having a moment here, but there's rats.
Hey guys, I know you're like fighting about something, but he does kill people by making rats eat them alive, if that's useful to you to know. Like... And then I said, JJ takes photos with rats to put on TV.
What?
Oh, I know what this scene is. I remember this scene. JJ, they're like in the bullpen talking, and JJ comes over, and Hotch hands her like printouts of stills of the videos.
Oh, of like the
And
people.
yeah. And she's looking at them and she's like, "What is this?" And they're like, those are people being eaten alive by rats." And she's just like, "Uh-huh. What do you want me to do with it?"
Yeah, because, like, what the fuck do you want her to do with that at this point?
Yeah. And Hotch is like, "If you could like put those on TV and maybe we can figure out what his like home base
Horrifying, though.
is."
That
Yeah.
imagine finding out that your loved one is dead because you see a picture of them getting eaten alive by rats on the 11 o'clock. How fucking
Um
horrifying.
yes. And she literally is like, "Okay." Just like leaves with these photos. She's like, "I hate my job. I
She
hate my job."
absolutely did not put those on TV. You have to know those went into her office trash can.
No, she was like, "One into the shredder, two
Two
into
into
the
the
shredder.
shredder.
If only I could put my brain into the shredder, four into the shredder." She's like, "No one is seeing these photos."
Or she just like
Um,
redacted everything except for these people's faces. And that was it. It's
I think
like,
it was like to figure out like what room they were in, like if anyone recognized like the style of room or something.
if
Like
I
it was
see a
like,
picture of a dead person being on the floor eaten by rats, I'm not looking at the architecture. I'm
I
not
mean,
saying, oh, that's a beautiful antebellum home. I'm saying that's a person getting eaten by rats on a dirty basement floor. What the fuck?
can you put that on the news?
I don't think you can.
I don't know. It's not exactly like a war documentary, you know?
And
Like
it's
it's
not
people
exactly
getting eaten by rats.
like sometimes things are too gory for to be put on the news.
Mm.
They don't put incredibly gory things on the news if they can avoid
Yeah.
it. They don't.
No.
Like,
Jesus
I don't
Christ.
know.
It
Fucked
is
up.
just like
Fucked
they're just
up.
like they're just like, "I'm not doing this. I'm going home and I'm getting drunk and you guys can see me tomorrow." Like goodbye.
Honestly, yeah. So fucked up. Let's
Hey
continue.
Garcia, do you need to forget those rat photos? Why don't you come over and drink
Let's
until
get
we go to
fucking
sleep?
wasted because holy shit, we've both seen horrifying things today.
Yeah. So then they figure out that Vinny lived like completely off the grid. He like has no home address, no phone number, no electricity bill, no credit cards, no nothing. And they say that like what's weird though about this most recent killings is that Freddy was very easy to find. And that would have been really like off script for him. You know, like
It was
if
very
he
easy to find Freddy's decapitated head.
yeah, and the other bodies that were just in fucking trash cans on the same street.
Yeah.
And he
And
like didn't torture Mrs. DeMarco either.
yeah, and so this is when Gideon looks at Hotch and he goes, "What do you say we fucking finish this thing?" And Hotch heads uh into the interrogation room with Vinny. And this scene, this last Hotch part is so good.
Ugh, my heart.
My heart belongs to Aaron Hotchner, not for any of that like weird straight person reason, but just because I think he's a good boy.
I mean, he's an okay boy,
He's a
but in
cop.
this scene,
But in this cop, he's a in this scene, he's a good boy.
yeah, in this scene, he's a sad little boy. Um, so you find out basically he's like, "Hey, Vinny, your dad beat you, um, all the time, and you used to blame your mom for it, but then you realize that he was beaten your mom too. Um, and like you've killed hundreds of men, Vinny, but only one woman just this time, and that made you fuck up."
And Vinny this whole time is very much like, "Don't you fucking talk about my mother. Don't you
Yeah,
fucking
don't
do
you
it."
fucking talk about my mother. Yeah. So while this is going on, Penelope and Reed are listening to tapes, and they hear an airplane. So they're like, "Okay, he must be near
In
an
airport.
airplane." And
And
then,
Elle and
oh,
Morgan are going through the trash that was in.
this logic I don't necessarily understand.
I love this logic to pieces.
So they're going through the trash that was in his car. All this stuff they found was from his car, his van. And they find a pizza box.
They find a whole bunch of shit. They find like fucking burger wrappers and like fast food shit, just a lot of other garbage. But they
Yeah.
find a pizza box. And Elle is like, "Where do you order pizza from?" Derek's like, "I order it from my neighborhood."
And she goes, exactly. Every single person only orders pizza from their neighborhood. And that's how they find him. There is only one pizza place with the name of their pizza, and it's in Glen Burnie, right by the airport. Um,
I like this logic for what they use it for. They're like, okay, so here's the other thing though, is if you get a pizza delivered, right? You have to be within the delivery range of that store,
yes,
of that pizza store. So
yes.
like
If he's at
obviously,
if he's at a stakeout, he's going to whatever pizza place is near his stakeout.
but but I'm not going to drive more than half an hour for a fucking pizza, dude. I don't know.
No,
Like it
but they talk about him like
this logic
he's
tracks for me.
so it tracks for me if he was only buying pizza when he was in his own neighborhood. But they're going through like, oh, it's burgers, it's like coffee things, it's things you eat on stakeouts because he like stalks the victims for a long time. But he has killed people all over DC, Maryland, and Virginia. It does not make like is the logic like he only buys pizza when he's stalking people in his own neighborhood?
I think the logic works when you combine it with airport sounds and when you combine it with like looking for things in his father's name. I think it's just a little piece of the puzzle. I don't think it's the whole puzzle. I think this is a piece of the puzzle.
I mean, I just like I get that, but the idea that she's like, I found a pizza box. You only buy pizza from your own neighborhood. Therefore, his neighborhood must be near this pizza restaurant.
That
I
tracks for me. I don't know. That tracks in my head.
I just like does he literally only eat pizza when he's home?
Or does he get the pizza delivered to his house and then just take the box with him of like his leftovers while he's on a stakeout? You look so confused right now.
I don't understand.
It makes sense to me, James, and that's all that matters.
But he's in Virginia on a stakeout and he's like, "Damn, I want some pizza. I guess I have to wait
Well,
3
like, I
days
think it also is
until I'm home
combined in
again."
I think it's also combined with the fact that they only found one pizza box in there or pizza boxes from one place in there.
I get that. It's just like this man is literally like, I will only eat pizza when I am home.
Don't question the weird psychopath, okay? Don't fucking question him.
And it like just so happens not to be a chain. Like it just so happens to be this one local
It's a local mom and pop pizza shop.
Like,
because everything in Baltimore is apparently very Italian. I don't know, bro. Don't fucking question it.
I have questions.
Don't fucking question it, dude.
If he was really from Baltimore, he'd eat fucking those from those restaurants. I never ate pizza in Baltimore because I didn't like any of them because I'm from Miami. But but there's like 3 or 4 chains in Baltimore that like that's where you order pizza from. So it's just like weird to me. I guess he's in Glen Burnie, but still it extends. Anyway, Glen Burnie.
Got way too wrapped up in that pizza mystery, dude. Way too wrapped up in that pizza mystery.
You know I have feelings about things. And it just so
I
happens
guess.
pizza's one of them, I guess.
I guess.
Okay. His dad, Frank Parada. He's living in his dad's house. We find out that Frank died in a suspicious hunting accident with his son 30 years ago when his son was 17. And they say, maybe it's not so suspicious. Maybe it wasn't a hunting accident. Maybe it was this kid's first kill. Boom, boom, boom.
Dramatic.
Mm-hmm. And then Derek says, "You're my girl," and kisses Penelope's head.
This is the first one of their very sweet moments.
It was cute.
I just love them. I love them so much.
I know.
It's ridiculous. They're the one straight ship on this show that I'm like, okay
I was
with.
just gonna say. So it's
They're
the
my
only legitimate straight ship.
they're my designated straights on this show.
Yeah, my support straights.
Yeah.
Okay. The SWAT breaks into Frank Parati's house. They go into the basement and they find him. And then Gideon
Gideon is kicking
is
aside
just
these rats.
kicking rats. He is just like, get away from him! Get away from him! Kicking
He's
rats.
just fucking
No!
punting these rats
No!
across the basement.
Just stop. And it's like, even when they close up on Kramer, like untying Jimmy, Gideon is in the background just kicking rats. Get out of here. Get
Also,
out
how
of
are
here.
these rats not running away just like from the noise and the fucking lights and the people?
Oh, it is so funny to me. Gideon, my man.
Gideon is unintentionally the funniest character on this fucking show.
Get away from him. Get out of here.
Fucking
Kicking
rats.
Kicking rats. Like, gun pointed at fucking rats. Like,
Like, what are you gonna do, dude? Are you gonna fucking pop a cap in a rat, dude? Like,
yeah.
what?
So then it cuts back to Hotch and Vinny. And they're sitting there, like, so close their, like, knees are fucking touching. And they're talking about, like, your dad hit you, and, like, there's two types of people. And, like, some people grow up to be killer. Like, some people who are abused grow up to be killers. And then, like, as Hotch is walking out, Vinny is like, and what about, like, the other type of people? And Hotch turns around and goes, some people grow up to catch them.
I love Aaron Hotchner so goddamn much in this moment.
Yeah. It's
It's
really
just
interesting to
so.
me.
I love Aaron Hotchner so much. And I think this episode and this revelation hits harder because you just met Hotchner's son. You just met his son.
Yeah.
And so you're like, yeah, you're going to break the cycle, dude. You're going
Yeah,
to
hell
do
yeah.
all you can to be better than your dad was. And that just, like,
Yeah,
that hits, dude.
people
That
talk
hits in
about
my
how
heart, man.
people talk about how Aaron Hotchner was abused as a kid, and I didn't remember it because this is the only time they mention it.
Mhm.
But it is, I think, very apparent in this episode that, like, he catches bad guys because his, like, father was a bad guy.
I think it's such a good, I don't know, it just, like, every so often through the series, like, I think they harken back to it a lot in a lot of really little ways. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
such a good cornerstone to build your hard ass male character from.
Yeah,
Like,
and yeah,
it just, it's just like the fact that Aaron Hotchner uses his authority to protect other people in, like, when they're on a case or, like, in a room, or, like, to make people listen to his teammates is just so fucking good. And, like, reading that as, like, the little kid standing up for himself and standing up for
mm-hmm.
his brother and standing up for his mom, standing up to his dad is just like, oh.
Yeah, and I think that it really informs the way that he is like a father to the team. We joke
Yeah.
about Daddy Hotch, but he really does take on that parental role. And I think it is like him making good and him seeing people who are his responsibility and keeping them safe and keeping them protected. And the fact that he, in this episode and again, you know, downplays his own physical and emotional hurt to make sure that he can continue to support his team members says a lot about him. Like, he's, not to read too much into him as an abuse victim, but he, you know, I guess is used to that more physical pain, emotional pain, and so he pushes it away in order to be a better father figure, authority figure to the people he loves, his team.
God, I love, like, ugh.
Yeah, and I think it makes a spoiler alert for season fucking 12. Um, I think it makes his decision to leave make sense, as abrupt as it is because of all the behind the scenes politics. I think that the fact that he sees that his job and his life is putting Jack in danger, and that Jack is gonna have these. I mean, by season 12, Jack is 12.
Yeah.
Like he's hitting puberty. He's starting to. He would be understanding what's going on, and he would know that his dad and his dad's job is what's putting him in danger. Is what led to Haley's death. I think that Hotch deciding that it's for the best for him to quit and for him to be that in order to protect Jack, in order to be a good father, he had to stop putting himself and his son in danger.
God, it's just sometimes they say these things and you're like so convinced that the writers do forget about them, but then you look at the whole show overall and the whole character arc overall and you're like, if the writers did remember this moment, they're fucking geniuses for it. Like,
this is why like we keep going back on like good character development or fan-made character development. Like on the one hand, if the writers were thinking about this when they gave Hotch that exit, good writing, good art.
yeah.
If they
If
just
they
gave him
weren't,
that exit just because of whatever, bad writing out of the blue.
Yeah.
It's like literally like
yeah.
purely what did the writers know what they were doing? Yes, good show. No,
Question mark?
bad
Yeah.
show. Like
It's just, God, I love Aaron Hotchner so fucking much.
yeah, he's a good boy sometimes. He's a
I
bad boy
love-
sometimes, but he's a good boy.
I just
sometimes.
love this and like breaking the cycle of abuse and like being better than your father was.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good one. And I think that's why he and Prentice are such a good duo in that way and understand each other so much, because she's trying to do the same thing with her mother, getting over the neglect and the
Mhm.
emotionally stuntedness, So like I get why she should not have been fucking Unit Chief, let's be real, it should have been JJ, or Derek even if he'd stayed. But I think that that's kind of what they were trying to do when they put her there, to mirror Hotch's arc. But it was a bad choice.
I actually do just love the end quote from Gideon, the end bookend quote. It's just like, the healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into torturers. And it just shows you that end shot of Vinny looking at Hotch and Hotch looking back at Vinny. And it's like, oh, God, the fucking power.
Yeah.
This fucking. Oh.
Sometimes this show's real good and it gets me right
Sometimes
in
this
the
show
fucking
good,
heart.
dude.
Sometimes. Yeah.
So that's it. What do you rank in this episode, dude? Out of
I'm giving
10.
this episode an 8.
An 8. Okay, giving it what it deserves.
I mean, it's a season 1 8, but it's an 8.
It is a season 1 8, which we do always have to keep in mind because we will be ranking every single episode from this season.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're crazy people. Let's see, you gave last episode a 7. I gave last episode an 8. I'm also gonna give this one an 8 because I do just think this also slaps so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Do they say natural born killer in this episode? Do they say the name of the episode?
I think.
Or was that a goof that we did?
So. Yeah.
Was that a goof?
I think.
Or did they say it?
I think they said it.
Okay. Perfect.
Whatever, just give it a smiley face.
Give it a smiley face. They didn't say wheels up because they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because they were just at the BAU this whole time.
Yeah.
And that's it for this episode of Wheels Up. Y'all join us in, the next time that we're live for episode 109, Derailed.
I don't remember that episode at all.
Oh, yes, you do. You will remember it when you see it. Yup.
The train one?
No, it's an episode called Derailed, and it's not about trains, James.
Oh, it is the train one.
It's the train one. It's called Derailed,
serious.
you dumb idiot. Of course
That's
it
why.
is.
Stop being mean to me.
We will be back in 2 Wednesdays from now. You know the drill with that episode. Until then, y'all can find us on social medias at Wheels Up Pod pretty much everywhere. And we will see you then. James, do we have an outro quote?
We do. As Penelope Garcia says to Spencer Reed while they're on their way to watch videos of people being eaten alive by rats. Yay, movie night! I'll make popcorn.
I love her. Oh, I love her so much.
Literally like, I'll make popcorn. Is it porn?
Lit.
Oh my god, it is rats eating people alive.